and special welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. In this auspicious month of January, it's our absolute fortune that Sister Jayanti is going to join us online to share her thoughts on the theme of turning setbacks into comebacks. Why is this month of January so auspicious? It's the beginning of the year, the first month of the year. Also, we're remembering our founding father, Brahma Baba, who passed away in 69 on 18th of January. And again, it's very special as Sister Jayanti is joining us online to share her thoughts. So I would like you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the talk. Just to remind and share that for those of you who had heard of another theme that we had advertised for this evening, that event is postponed. The theme was Future Without Fear. So at a later date, we will be keeping that event and we'll let you know. So sit back, relax, and enjoy listening to Sister Jayanti.
The online program. And the theme today is how to turn setbacks into coming forward. Instead of going backwards, now we're looking forward and seeing what the possibilities are to make that happen. And the reality is that whatever it is we think is what manifests and happens to us in life out there, what we would describe as reality. But reality is beginning something within ourselves, and we don't always recognize this. There's a very simple expression that I'd like to share, and that is, whatever is our awareness, so is our attitude. According to that is our vision. According to that is our behavior, our actions. And according to that is the culture we create around ourselves. And according to that is the world we create. And all this makes a lot of sense, I'm sure, but I'll explain it again a bit further. But I want to share the Hindi words for all of this. Smriti, vritti, drishti, kriti, sanskriti, srishti. So a straight line connection between what's going on inside. And so whatever it is that's in my awareness, whatever is dominant in my consciousness and in my thinking and feeling, that's the awareness. That is going to be my attitude to the world and to people and every incident and event. And that is going to then determine the quality of my vision. How do I see you? How do I see maybe myself? How is it that I relate to you? And every other incident and event that goes on in the world. And my behavior will then be a response that is in line with this. Maybe behavior that is generous and kind, maybe seeing an enemy and so attack and retaliate and stubbornness. But my behavior will be determined by my awareness, my attitude, my vision, and my actions. And that is the culture that I create around myself. Is it a culture of nonviolence? Do no harm to anyone, ahimsa? Is it a culture in which I'm attacking or I'm defensive and I'm not actually looking at the reality, but it's just my inner reactions that have created this? But my actions are now no longer created inside of me and just determined by me and related only to me. My actions, of course, have an impact on the world outside and the people I'm with. And so if there's a culture of unkindness started by one, but it permeates and it impacts many, many others also equally. a culture of nonviolence, do no harm. And that also becomes the culture of a family, a unit, an organization, a country. And then that becomes my world. Firstly, my little world, but then further, the world in which I live. And so when I see situations that appear to be a setback, can I remember this little connection? The connection of my awareness. Whatever are my thoughts and feelings are going to determine my attitude. And so can I pause there for just a moment? And if I see that my attitude isn't quite right with an individual, can I just take a step back? It's not a setback, but the situation is making me take a step back. And as I step back, I look at my thoughts and my feelings. And I ask myself, but what is all that about? Why are there such thoughts coming? Can I transform them? Can I make them into noble, powerful, elevated, pure, clean thoughts? Is there any possibility of that? Yes, there is, very definitely. You know the story about the glass being half empty. But maybe it's not half empty. Maybe it's half full. There's still a lot there that I can partake. And so I don't need to feel deprived. I don't need to feel angry or upset. But whatever is the way in which I see it, the attitude that I hold, is then going to determine my response. So my world depends on the way in which I think about it, the way in which I hold the feeling and awareness of it, and things will then follow in sequence. And once it's got to the point where it's attitude, then it takes a lot of thinking through to reverse that whole process. But if I can very quickly feel what's going on inside of me, and that awareness is something that you can catch quite quickly. My feelings are something that I can tap into. Very simple. I was feeling okay 5 minutes ago. Well, how come I'm not feeling so good about something right now? And so to catch my feelings and to take it a step further back and see what are the thoughts that have created these feelings. And then, yes, I'm on track to be able to change a setback into a step forward. What are the sort of setbacks that we experience today? It feels as if we're surrounded by these zillions of things that are going on at the moment. I open the newspaper and it's good news? Probably not. Bad news? Yes. Every headline speaks of a crisis, an emergency, a trauma, a disaster. These are the words most frequently used in today's headlines. We very rarely see the headlines, God's grace. This is a miracle. And a miracle is something that logically I could not imagine happening, but yet it's happened. And so then I call it a miracle. So it's not hocus pocus, but it's just as something that was beyond my capacity to acknowledge has now actually manifested. And there could be many different factors that made it happen, but basically this is how it works. So I can change the quality of my thoughts and my feelings. I need to understand what's going on in the world inside myself, behind the eyes, behind the forehead. And I come to the understanding that on the path of spirituality, which is what can help me consistently change setbacks into step forwards, I have to use the power of spirit, my own spirit, my own inner spiritual capacity. It's not a power that's out there somewhere. Yes, I do believe in God, and I do believe that it's possible to draw that power, spiritual power, from the source, from the divine. The source is the source of the power of love, the power of peace, the power of purity, all the good things that we all wish to have in our lives. Well, there's one-stop shop, and that is the divine. And just connecting with the divine, I'm able to draw whatever it is I need within myself. So this world, which is my own true, real world within, and it's one that only I am aware of. When it manifests in words and deeds, of course, then it becomes visible to all. But until the moment that it comes into words or actions, I am certainly aware of it if I choose to be. Sometimes we live our life on autopilot and things just carry on, and we don't take a pause, we don't stop to reflect, we don't stop to think about it. But maybe the pandemic came as a timely reminder to stop. Don't be on that treadmill of action and more action and more action and more action. But we're human beings, not just human doings. So can I experience myself as that inner being, the being of light that I am? And when I begin to go inside my own world within, it's a challenge because I'll probably see lots of memories that are not wanted, memories that come to cause me grief when they're triggered by events or situations. Maybe it's thoughts and feelings that I myself am surprised and shocked by. How come I'm feeling like this? But during that period of COVID, all of that happened, but we also discovered something else. We also discovered that it is so important to stop this non-stop machine that's been active for the whole of my life. And now I take a pause and in a very conscious way, slow down the speed of my thoughts and begin to look at the impact of thoughts and feelings on my own inner world. If COVID hadn't come, we wouldn't have given ourselves a chance to take that pause. I know COVID has meant bereavement, COVID has meant separation, COVID has meant loss, COVID has meant economic disaster. It's meant a lot of negative things. But the other side, maybe I begin to ask myself, what is the most important thing for me? I remember a story that I read early on during COVID times. This is around April 2020. And the story was of a person who was the owner of a big bank. It's a real story, in Spain. And his daughter was talking about her feelings at the departure of her father. And she said, he had all the money in the world. He had all the best physicians and doctors around him, but nobody could buy him breath. He died because he couldn't breathe anymore. So when I'm faced with that sort of situation of bereavement, what does it do for me? Maybe it brings me back to an examination of what my true values really are. And I say, well, money is out there in the world, but life and the beauty of life is something that not even money can buy. And life means also not just I alone, but family. And so the joy of family, the support of family, the connection of family, for some people, that came back. Working from home, oh, what a life. They're expecting you to, because now you're not having to give time to transportation or commuting. Now they're expecting you to start work at 8:30 and you're finishing work at 7 o'clock in the evening, and they don't even give you a break for lunch. Maybe that's the story of some. And so even though you're working from home, you're working extra hard, but yet still you're in the comfort of your home, you're with your family, and you're there available at any moment for anything that may come. And so you begin to ask yourself, what is it that's truly important? And probably this huge setback for the world made people recognize the value of love, of happiness within, of truth, of peace, of joy in the simple things of life, the value of relationships, the value of fresh air, the value of a clean environment. Maybe I began to recognize all of those things. And so in any situation of setback, and the pandemic has been a huge setback if we look at things on the external level. And yes, of course, it's not just soul operating in limbo, but the soul is very much using the physical body. And so it's operating in a world of matter, in a world of interaction with everyone else around us. And so all of these things, how can I find the way out and to be able to take a step forward? I have to look inside. I have to see what are my thoughts and my feelings. And by knowing the being that I am, the inner being, I can actually take charge of my mind. I can come to the state where I am a sovereign of the self, return to self-sovereignty in a very real way. Can I be the master of my thoughts and feelings? Yes, I can. If I stay in that awareness of soul, if I forget I'm a soul and just the consciousness of this limited frame comes in, then every setback is a deep hole and I don't know how to climb out of that hole. And it feels as if the hole gets deeper and deeper day by day, and there just doesn't seem to be any release from that. But okay, I've fallen down a hole, I've made a mistake, I forgot myself, I forgot the source. It's okay, there's still hope. I can still clamber out of that hole of negativity and turn my thoughts around and ask myself, but how come I fell in that deep hole? But I'm fortunate that I'm out of that hole now. I can see the light, I can see the sunshine, I can see the blue sky, I can see all my family and all my friends. So when a setback comes, let me look at my thoughts and my feelings. What is it that I'm thinking? What is it that I'm feeling? And is it helpful for me now? Or is it digging the hole even deeper and I fall down even further? It's up to me. This isn't something harsh. This is actually the reality. I am the creator of my own world. And it's not harsh at all, but rather it's the key to freedom, to liberation. Because whatever I did up until now, I actually didn't understand that whole awareness of the inner being as distinct to the physical form. And so my thoughts were totally trapped by the physical being. And there was no way in which I could step out of that hole. But now, once I understand that this is my chariot, this body of mine, but I, the charioteer, am the inner being, the being within. And once I've got that deep philosophical aspect, not just as philosophy in my head, but as the foundation of a turning point in my life, I can deal with any setback and turn it around and make it a step forward. Looking at the situation with ill health. Some of us have suffered ill health. Some of us are going through suffering. Some of us have been carers for others who had bad health and maybe have passed away, or thankfully are still maybe with us. How do I deal with it? Let's look at the question of illness for me, for my own physical chariot. I realize that I was on this treadmill and not willing to stop, working on my devices till late at night. And what was that doing to me? I didn't realize. There was this buzz of electricity that was going around in my head. And I tried to go to sleep because I was tired and it was late, but I couldn't sleep. And so the next morning, maybe I had a few dozy minutes here and there, or maybe I had an hour or 90 minutes through the night, maybe. But early morning, when it's time to awaken and sit in God's remembrance and take God's love and light and power, I'm not able to do that because I'm too tired. And so there's already the factor of having to deal with illness, but also now the sense of helplessness. What can I do? Woe is me. At that moment, can I stabilize myself and understand that I, the soul, am actually okay? It's this chariot of mine that needs to go to the garage and get repaired or changed or something. And there's a huge amount of technology, medical technology, that can actually help us deal with whatever are the physical setbacks. So, in my state of ill health, let me know that if I stay calm and I practice stepping away from this body of mine, then I'm going to be able to give this body healing power, God's power of light and might, which can heal this body and soul. The soul is also a little bit sick, but now we're looking at the illness of the body. And so God's light and love can reach this body of mine and calm it down so that I can experience the detachment within myself I detached from this body of mine, not I detached from my family. No, the detachment is being able to observe what's going on inside this body of mine, within this role that I'm playing, connected with a big family. So in that state of practicing stepping away from this body, I'm not leaving the body. I'm not doing anything to make that happen. No. But my consciousness, my awareness has stepped out of the skin, and I realize I am that eternal being of light. I am actually free. I don't have any bondages. And if I keep this awareness, that is what is going to lead me to the situation where truly all bondages have dissolved, and I am just simply an instrument, and I offer myself to the divine to use this instrument in whatever way is possible. And maybe I'm not even looking that far ahead. Maybe I'm just taking God's light and might and directing it to whichever part of this physical chariot is in trouble and needs help. Maybe it's my heart, maybe it's my intestine, maybe it could be anything. But sitting in God's remembrance, sending God's light to the part that's been affected, is a very useful form of increasing tolerance capacity. In some cases, it may even be a form of healing and a reversal of illness. But I'm not giving any guarantees. You have to do whatever the medical profession is telling you to do and follow those protocols. So this isn't advice in lieu of medical professional advice. Whatever that is, you have to follow that. It's available, and so take advantage. But this is connected with my state of mind, my state of awareness, of consciousness. But of course, an elevated, noble state of being, of course, has an impact on whatever is happening within the physical body. You know what happens if a child is upset? The child will say, I don't want to eat. What is that a sign of? The mind upset, the stomach upset, and if you force feed the child, probably it will all come out, waste of your time, energy, and food. But upset mind, upset tummy. It's also true the other way. Upset tummy and my mind feels uncomfortable and not at ease. But more so is the way in which the mind is impacting the body, matter. So tolerance of pain and being able to increase that is important. Somebody I know was taking heavy painkillers for a short while because she'd had a few fractures after a fall. And the nurse told her that, and she started to feel a lot of nausea. And so the nurse told her, well, probably it's a side effect of the painkillers. And she understood that and decided to use more tolerance capacity, increasing her own tolerance capacity. She didn't stop suddenly, but she was moved to medication which was not so strong, less severe. And so she needed to up her game of increasing her tolerance capacity. And sometimes it is as if drugs don't seem to work. And so I need to just find a way to be able to deal with whatever is inside. So how did that become something that could carry a person forward? I grow in strength. I grow in stature. My own confidence returns. Yes, I can deal with pain, a very, very important factor in life today. Physical pain is one thing, but also my tolerance capacity for any other type of pain, emotional pain, etc., also increases. But it means that also the process of healing happens in a more natural and speedier way. But that time is a time in which the machine has to just take rest. This machine, it's been working the whole of my life. Even when I went on holiday, I was using this machine. And so the machine didn't get very much rest. I was excited to go here, go there, do this, do that, do the other. But now, forcibly, I had to give rest to this. And it also gave me a chance just to reflect inside and ask myself the question, well, what am I learning from all of this? In any situation, this question is very useful. What do I learn from this? And any setback will become a step forward if I use this question with honesty, with sincerity and integrity. Then yes, I'll be able to see what's being uncovered inside my own world. What about relationships? And of course, one of the biggest things that happens within such a period of self-exploration is that I begin to see in what way I can enhance relationships that are already okay, or even relationships that are very good. I can still find ways to enhance them. And this time of rest for the body, rest for the mind, isn't just illness that's come. It's come as an opportunity to explore what's going on within. And so I look at relationships. Is there a particular relationship or some relationships that are causing me stress? Well, why is that so? Can I do things differently so that I'm not stressed by those relationships? A relationship should be an exchange of happiness and respect and love. But maybe I don't respect that individual. And so I'm not able to have an exchange of happiness with them. And within maybe a minute of a normal conversation, the conversation has become a critical one. And it's not very pleasant. Let me take a pause from relationships that are toxic and explore, why is this happening? What can I learn about myself from this? One thing is for sure, I cannot make someone else change. Have you ever tried it? You probably have, but it doesn't work, does it? I cannot change them. I have to accept them as they are. And if through God's grace, through my change, my transformation, and my capacity to accept them as they are, maybe that will become a trigger, a stimulus for them to change in the future. I don't know when, I don't know how long it's going to take. But what I can do is change myself, my thoughts and feelings and attitude about them. So my vision towards them changes and everything else is going to work out. Might not work out instantly. You plant seeds and you don't expect to get instant results. The seed is going to need the time in the ground to be still, to be silent, to absorb the nutrients, to absorb the warmth of the soil within, to absorb the water, whatever it is. And then at some point you'll see the tiny little shoots come out. And they were alive. while in the ground, it seemed as if nothing was happening. And if I go poking around and dig around and say, what's happening? What's happening? Nothing is going to happen because the seed's been disturbed. But if I'm patient and let the seed settle, then it's going to start germinating, it'll sprout, and yes, maybe the results that I'm seeking will appear. And so with relationships, I can't rush things, especially if it's a long-standing issue. If I've known somebody only for a short time and the interaction is only of a short time, maybe I can do the repair work more quickly, but maybe not. Who knows? But the point is that I do what I can do in terms of sending out pure thoughts, good feelings, and good wishes for them. I nurture this, and those vibrations are surely impacting that individual. And who knows how long, but at some point, I'll begin to see a change. Well, first thing is that I'll begin to be more peaceful and calm. Because if I'm getting irritated and upset, I'm draining myself of my energy. And especially if it was during a time of sickness that I'm now exploring and not sorting out relationships, then it's going to add to the burden of the illness that I already have. And so, no, it's not a setback. Neither is the illness a setback, nor is the breakdown in relationship a setback. It's come to teach me what I need to do. And so let me learn to move forward. Maybe I need to forgive them. Maybe I seek their forgiveness very consciously. I go to them and seek it. And maybe that's not possible anymore. Who knows where they are and what's going on. But for me to forgive the mistake they have made is one thing. But when I've made a mistake, can I seek forgiveness for that? And can I forgive myself? Can I be honest with myself and say, well, I now realize what it is I did do that I shouldn't, or I didn't do what I should, and try and sort that out. Illness has given me a break away from my normal routine, a chance to explore. But maybe the illness is not my setback. It's just the breakdown of communication and relationship. And yes, that keeps happening. And so can I explore that? I need to give myself time to reflect and see what is going on in all of this. But also, first and foremost, am I ready to accept responsibility? Remember that straight line? My thoughts and feelings and the world that I create? It is my creation. It's not a burden to consider that. It's just clarity. And through that clarity, there's freedom. So can I have a look inside and say, I'm ready to accept my part within this whole story. And the aha moment will come. And I'll be able to say, now I understand. And once I say that, the impossible becomes possible. I understand, I realize, and I take power from the source, from the divine, to be able to change myself. And so here's my new attitude, my new vision. And of course, it's visible to them. They can feel it, it reaches them. Maybe it's able to touch them in a very external way also. But accepting responsibility for my situation is the important factor. Anytime I find myself pointing my finger out there, it's their fault because they did this, because they shouldn't have done this. But hey, watch it. One finger out there and 3 fingers are pointing at me. Can I remember that? It was Mahatma Gandhi who made us aware of this. One finger out there is 3 fingers pointing at the self. Maybe there's been a problem in my career. Maybe it's a breakdown of relationship somewhere. So let me go through that process and see why that relationship broke down. Maybe it was because I was too ambitious. Do I recognize my own ego? Maybe it was because I was too competitive. And maybe I can't even find a fault with myself and say, well, genuinely, it wasn't my fault. Honestly, I'm exploring things and I'm saying it's not my fault. But my career certainly has had a huge setback. Can I turn it around? Can I take it as a little bit of time off that's offering me an opportunity to go inside and see what the next step in my journey has to be? Maybe this break is giving me a signal that I went along a particular track and I did the best that I could and I received the rewards of that, but then something happened and it came to a standstill. Maybe it's a new door that's opening. When one door shuts, there's always a new door that opens. Can I have the faith, the courage, and the belief, the trust that there will be something good that comes out of this? Because within this wheel of life that we call the drama of life, events happen, and what you sometimes think is absolutely awful turns out to be a wonderful opportunity that opens a door for the future. If I keep the right consciousness, the right awareness, opportunity might fall into my lap. But if I moan and groan and complain, then my negativity is going to close the door for opportunity to come. And maybe it's going to take a little bit longer. Maybe it's going to mean a little bit more sacrifice. But for sure, it's going to happen. Why? Because this drama is actually benevolent. This drama is beautiful. But I've lost faith in myself, I've lost faith in God, I've lost faith in the drama because I've got stuck. And the negativity of my feelings is keeping the door of opportunity closed. And so can I change my vision, my thoughts, my feelings? Yes, when I understand and I begin to accept that faith in myself, there is goodness within me. That's for sure. The essence of the soul of every human being is a beauty, truth, and goodness, but it's got covered up through the years. But now, in silence, in the space that I have, I again discovered that beauty of the spirit that lies within, the treasures that I carry within myself, as every single human being does. But when I recognize my own treasures, I begin to shine and I radiate that light. So can I understand this and experiment with this idea and develop that faith that I am a being of goodness and truth and beauty? And I want to be able to restore that again, re-emerge it again. It's there, but I need to connect with it and allow it to be expressed. Can I also have faith in the divine? Once I start practicing this consciousness of the inner being, the being within, yes, I can begin to feel the presence of the divine, the being who is benevolent, the one who wants to simply give to me all the positive, beautiful attributes that he, she possesses as my birthright, as a child of the divine. There are so many treasures that are waiting for me to claim. Thirdly, can I have faith that this cycle of life, this amazing drama of life, is benevolent? Because it is. If for a short space of time there seems to be darkness and nothing seems to be right, everything seems to be going wrong, it's okay. There's a season for all things. And that's not just poetry or the words of a play. It is a reality. There is a season for everything. And the season now is a time for darkness to end, and beyond the darkness, for a world of goodness to begin, a world of light to come. And so in my particular situation now, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe the tunnel feels very, very long, but it's okay. Patience. I find myself having mentioned patience several times today. We don't normally think about it as a virtue or something that we have to develop, but it's absolutely vital to be able to develop this quality within the self. And if I can develop it, I will begin to see the light shining, and I will begin to see that there is goodness within this eternal drama. And so problems with career, and I've come to a standstill. Well, let me move forward with faith in myself, faith in the divine, faith in the drama, and to be totally assured that another door will open. Maybe it's a time for retraining. Maybe it's a time for developing other skills. But a door is waiting to open when I'm ready for that. And so I do see that every setback has a silver lining, and it offers the opportunity of stepping forward and not just making a comeback. I don't come back to the same place. I've actually moved forward to another place, and a place that is much better, much happier, and more meaningful. So let's have a few moments of silence, and let's explore this idea of the goodness within. Sitting quietly, I allow myself to become quiet inside, not just the physical body quiet, but my mind settled and quiet. And as the speed of my thoughts slows down, I see myself in the center of the forehead, shining, radiating light. I am the light. I am a being of peace. I am the light that illuminates. I am a being of peace. And as I become quiet and still, I can feel the gentle, loving presence of the Source, the Divine, the Supreme Being of light. I absorb within myself all that the Supreme wishes to bestow on me. From the ocean, the unlimited source of love, and also truth. These qualities reach me and empower me. And I step away from the troubles, the bondages, the issues, and I find myself in a space of light. I stay in this place of light and absorb this within myself. I bring back this light, and as I come back to the awareness of the world around me, I hold this light so that it illuminates my path and is shared with others also. Om Shanti. Thank you. You'll receive details and invitations for further events. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Jayanti, for such an insightful talk. Your tips that you offered us were simple, very profound, and powerful. I especially took for myself this virtue of patience that as you were underlining many times through the talk. So I'm sure all of you, along with me, are thanking Sister Jayanti for her beautiful sharings. And just to remind you of upcoming events, every Monday and Thursday evening, 7 to 7:30, we have reflective meditation that you can join online. And also every Tuesday evening, we have talks from 6:45 to 7:45. Our next Tuesday evening's theme is going to be Forever is Composed of Now. And if you wish to visit our talks from the past, you can go to our YouTube channel and view them. You may want to subscribe for our YouTube channel and Facebook. We wish you a very happy New Year once again and have a profound year ahead. Thank you for listening.